Hey, it's Adam from Oceano, and you're watching MetalTillDeath.com.
All right, guys, we're sitting here at Jazz with Adam from Oceano. Man, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Very good. We just got our faces totally fucking ripped off from you guys, man. It's the first time I got to see you. Awesome stuff, man. So, tell us about how this tour is going with Carnifex and within the ruins. Everything. How's it going?
It's been pretty good. We've been playing a lot of fests. Actually, we played the Jamboree in Toledo, Ohio, maybe like last week, and we've been touring, and then yesterday we played New England Hardcore and Metal Fest. So we've been good shows, and then we get some really huge shows on top of that. And it's just been flying. Shows are shorter, than a normal show would be because there's 4 bands compared to the 5 or 6. So fast days, but still get to hang out and stuff like that. And we're just keep going playing a lot of fests, so it's cool.
Very cool. Now, coming off of something like the New England Metal Fest, and then coming to a small club, we were watching you, and like the energy was so good, man, just so powerful, man. How is it different from like playing a big festival and then coming in to a small club like this? Is it different for you guys, or do you bring that same energy to a small club as you do like a big venue?
I think it's a little for a bigger place, like last night, the crowd really pushes the energy towards you, and it makes it a little easier to get into it. But at a smaller club like tonight, it takes just the right amount of people and the right people actually in the zone and stuff like that to be just really to get to feel it. And tonight was a good show, and I really felt that. And sometimes you don't really get that, but it's a little harder in sense for a smaller place, but at the same time, I think you feel it a little more because you're closer to everybody and things like that. So
yeah. Well, the one thing I noticed is you guys bring a lot of energy when you come out there, and you're like, I want you to get evil with us. I want you to get evil with us. I mean, one of the things that I think is lacking in the scene, in the metal scene, hardcore scene, whatever kind of scene you're in, is like the passion. You guys seem to bring the passion. Like the whole place was just up and down and bouncing around, man. Where do you guys, when you come out before you get out on the stage, how do you prepare to get out there? And then when you get out there and you feel that vibe, for those of us who aren't on the stage, what's that vibe like, man?
kind of a funny story. I mean, we do our own things. I don't really think really doing ritualistic kind of things to get pumped up. I mean, today, before I play, I was listening to John Mayer. So, it's really, as not metal as that is, I like to calm myself down to, as much as I really can. Mm-hmm. So, I'm just get all that energy, built up inside of me, and then just come out there, just give everything I got. And I think that's for everybody. We're all just pretty chill, throughout the day, and then all our energy that we have from there is just expended on stage.
Okay. Now, like I said, this is my first time seeing you guys, and it was an incredible show, man. Do you write the lyrics for the band?
Yes.
Okay. Where, like, when you sit down to write, man, do you kind of like meditate on what you're gonna write about, or do you just like kind of pick things from, let's say, the news or from the world, or how do you draw inspiration from your lyrics?
Well, at least on the last album, it was, I guess, a lot of social topics and a little bit political and things like that. But I don't really try and take directly from them. It's almost like when I'm already kind of thinking about our next album, but it's almost like I really don't do anything in a sense, like I really don't jot down anything or, build up to when I actually start writing. It's kind of like I just start saving stuff in my mind,
okay.
And ideas and things like that. Like, oh, this is a cool idea. And literally I'll just sit there and think, in the van you have a lot of time to think. And I just kind of sit there and just kind of write it in my mind and, just hold it there until when I really want to start writing it up, putting it on paper and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, when you start the writing process, do you sit there and you wonder, okay, will this song appeal to a certain amount of people? Will it not appeal to a certain amount of people? Or does that even enter your mind, like, hey, should I relate to people on a certain level, or do you just write what comes from your heart?
I kind of just go with whatever I want to write. I mean, there's points where I think more just the structure and the flow of, more just, structuring out the songs and tempos and how I do the vocals more than actually the lyrics. Mm-hmm. I'll put some thought into, okay, this might feel a little catchier, kids might kind of, get into it a little more if I do it this way as opposed to that way. But when it comes to the words, I just go with what I feel, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking at the moment.
Okay. When you guys are out on the road, and how long you guys been doing this now?
I think we're verging on 4 years now.
Okay, 4 years.
Yeah.
So you've built up kind of a following, man. Do you have you witnessed anything like your fans that have stuck with you from the beginning and come up to you and said, okay, wow, man, your band has helped me get through this certain point in time? Have you seen any kind of things where your fans have come up to you and said, your music has just helped me get through some dark times?
Yeah, it's it's a little different, you know, because I'm not used to hearing those things, but definitely have encountered some people, you know, whether you know, just help them, you know, maybe they had subtle thoughts of like suicide and things like that. And I personally don't write towards those kind of thoughts, but if it helps somebody, you know, in some way, then that's always awesome. You know, I know how it can be. You know, it might not be a song that's directly written for, you know, to relate to that kind of subject, but sometimes you just gotta hear that right kind of song and it just touches you the right way and things like that. So we've encountered a lot. I've maybe like once or twice for me, but some of our other members, whether it be online, have talked to kids and stuff like that, and they've encountered those kind of things. They kind of get weirded out too, because it's just like you don't expect those kind of things.
Right.
We don't see ourselves as, you know, that's what we would think from a band that we have like looked up to and stuff like that, but we would never think that, you know, a fan of our music would kind of be on that same level that we would see a band that's bigger than us, you know, or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay, one of the questions we talked to Scott from Carnifex earlier today, and one of the things that we were talking about is like a lot of music and you know, lyrics and music and metal tends to be, it can be negative, but like we were talking about, it can be a positive thing. Would you agree with that? Like even though like some lyrics and some like maybe the tone of the music and the mood of the music is kind of like doomy and gloomy, it still can be a positive for people that are going through like rough times.
Yeah, I think at least for when we play, we omit a very negative and dark, you know, really we push that out a lot within our set and things like that. But for me, I do what I would love to see if I were going to see a band, and that's how I feel. And I feel that if a band is really pushing me, like, you know, let it all out, get violent, get angry, you're letting out everything that you can't let out in a normal public setting or things like that. Or if you're at home, you know, you can't just be at home and, you know, tell your parents to F off or something like that. You know,
right.
It's just like this is your time to let everything out. And that's how I feel on stage, and I want, you know, and that's how I would feel if I was watching a band. I'd really, if they said that to me and I was watching them, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm gonna, if you know, if I'm going to let it all out. I'm going to punch somebody, and there's not going to be really much ramification for it besides getting kicked out of the show. And that's how I feel.
Okay, cool, man. Well, what's like one positive and what's a negative? Okay, let me rephrase that. What's a positive thing that you see within the metal scene right now, and what's something that maybe you think needs to be changed in the metal scene?
I guess when we go around different places, everyone's just I mean, at least when you get to the really metal, you know, like core metal, like I said, we played New England Metal Fest yesterday. When you get to the core metal, we played the Metal Day with lots of the metal bands and things like that. And nothing against any other of the subgenres of metal and things like that. But when you get to metal, I feel that there's lots of people are really open. You know, you start off, you know, you gotta pay your dues and kind of, you know, prove yourself in the scene and stuff like that. But when you prove you're gonna be there and you're lasting, stuff like that, everyone's really accepting. And, you know, as long as they see that you're doing your thing, you're having fun, that's pretty much all it is, you know. Like, right away, you know, those, you know, the, like, devout metalheads, you know, there's like, hell yeah, good set, yada, 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 and that's it, you know, there's no BS to it. Everyone's really accepting. I think that's the really good thing about the roots of the metal scene and stuff like that. And I think on the other side, the bad side is there are those certain people who are really, you know, just like, I guess you'd call them like the old heads that kind of aren't accepting of some of the newer bands coming out that are doing what they need to do and really proving themselves, but just the fact that we're kind of, you know, it's our spin of the more older styles of metal and stuff like that. They're not really accepting of that, and they kind of just stick to the old ways and the old bands. But we, you know, in the end, we all listened to them. We've just taken influence from them and put kind of the new generation spin on it. So I think some people kind of just need to be a little more open-minded because we all come from the same place, young or old. We just are doing it a different way.
Okay, cool. Well, one of the questions that I ask a lot of bands now, because we've been doing a documentary since 2010 on the indie scene, bands that are in the underground scene that have record labels and don't have record labels, local scenes. What are some of the experiences that you, as a band, have experienced on the road, where a lot of people that think since you guys have a record deal, things are pretty easier for you because you have a record deal, whereas all the people I've interviewed, whether they're signed or unsigned, are basically in the same boat. What can you shed some light on that for us, for the people that think that once you get onto a deal, you're okay?
Yeah, that's definitely not the case at all. There's whether it be it is you're signing you're basically in a sense to an extent your life away.
Right.
Like your musical life away, and if you don't pay close attention to that, you can get into something that can really screw you over in the end. And I'm not saying that we're that way, but there's always fine lines to everything that you just don't notice, and sometimes it may bite you in the ass in the end. But in general, I mean, the way I see it is essentially, a label doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna make it big.
Exactly.
You still have to work. You still have it basically is, to me, it's just saying that you're gonna get your album out there, and that's what they're mainly there to do, to get your album out there. But from there, you got to push it, and you still have to tour and things like that. And I think the hardest thing that I would see while still being a signed band is just it's almost like people think that's like you're signed, like maybe friends and other people think, oh, you're signed, you guys are good, whatever. And there may be close to home a lot of people that just kind of like, oh, they're signed, they sold out or something like that. They've lost touch with the roots of the local scene and things like that. And I think lots of bands get stuck in that. It's like when they get signed, a lot of people kind of just turn their back on them when they start to grow, stuff like that. Whereas a band who's not signed that has still made just as much progress, maybe just on a lower level, will hold a lot more respect from the underground scene, which it doesn't really make much sense to me. It's just another band was just fortunate to get their album pushed out there a little harder than the other.
Okay, cool. Well, how important is the local metal scene to Oceano, man? Like the local bands, how important do you think that is to the metal scene in general?
I think it's very important because, every band in existence has come from the local scene, and I don't consider Oceano to be not part of the local scene. When we play a show at home, we're a local band. That's our home. Mm-hmm. So if say we played home with Carnifex, that's it's going to be a good reaction for us because that's our home. But I don't consider us any higher than the other bands, which lots of our friends and stuff like that. I consider it more. Let's give more props to Carnifex, because they're out of their home element. We're at home, we're comfortable, let's support them, because we have all of our friends and all of our fans there. So I like to just think, when we play home, we're still a local band, we're still going to be down to earth and hang out with everybody that comes supports us and stuff.
That's very cool, very cool. All right, now, here's a serious question for you, man. Are you ready for the zombie apocalypse?
It's funny you ask that because, side note, that's kind of closely related to what our album is somewhat about, just on a bio terror kind of level, more than actual living dead kind of thing. But I think I'm honestly ready for it. I've had this. I always like to mess around and say this. The one thing that I think is, you always see in the zombie movies, like, oh, what do? We got to get ammunition, blah 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 blah. But when you like the really, like the old Romero movies and stuff like that, why don't you just go on the roof?
Exactly, man. Exactly. I can't believe you said exactly, man.
Just get some food.
You always do better on the roof.
Yeah. Just get some food, maybe get some ammunition, and then just chill on the roof, and maybe someone will see you flying by in a helicopter.
That's fucking awesome, man. That's insane. Okay, now what? Do you have a favorite zombie movie?
My favorite in that realm is 28 Weeks Later.
Oh, that's
and the new version of the Crazies. Those are my two favorites.
The Crazies, I think, was so underrated, man. That movie is so badass because, like, you know, me being a conspiracy theorist, I think that shit could actually happen, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's I used that. When I saw that, I had the idea for our new album already and stuff like that. When I seen that movie, it was just like, this is pretty much exactly like
Hell yeah.
how I'm feeling and thinking when I want to get down and write the album and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Did you like the remake of Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
Perfect, dude. I thought it was great, man.
It was really good.
Okay, very cool, very cool. All right, now what do you guys got planned coming up for the summer?
Summer, we're going to be on Summer Slaughter.
Sweet.
Which is pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Who's on that tour with you?
From the top to the bottom, as far as I can remember, Black Dahlia Murder, Whitechapel, Darkest Hour, Blood Runs Black, 6 Feet Under, and that's all. Flesh God Apocalypse is like they're somewhere early on in the set like that. So.
Okay, very cool, man. Well, all right. Look, man. I'm going to turn it over to you. Whatever you want to say to your fans or people who are watching this for the first time that don't know you, what would you like to say, man?
We're Oceano, and we're here to stay.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
2011, we're on Summer Slaughter, and we're going to definitely get on some more really metal circuits. And 2012, hopefully, we'll be a bigger name than we are now and just keep going from there.
Hell yeah, man. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Where can they catch you at?
What's that?
Where can they catch you at on Facebook?
Oh, Facebook.com/Oceano Metal, and our Twitter is @Oceano Metal, and hit that up. And usually half the time we're talking to me. I don't usually tell that, but for you guys, you know that now. So.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it, dude. All right, and we'll see you next time. Peace.